And B, let's talk about what?
Let's talk about sex.
Let's talk about sex.
I've been recording this whole time.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Salt
look,
and pepper gonna do it one more time.
Yeah.
Push it.
You know what? Okay, so since you started, that really was, I didn't know you were recording. That's not a thing we did, which I'm glad you were because that shit was fire, right?
Push it real good.
I found... Can I make a confession to you and the listeners? This happened to me today.
Confess.
I was singing Brandy.
I'll absolve you of your sins.
I was singing Brandy out loud.
Which one?
I gotta be down. Weak in the knees, actually.
That's SWV.
Sorry.
That's not Brandy.
Well, I was singing SWV out loud. Yeah, I was like, I get so weak in the knees.
How dare
I can hardly
you
breathe.
confuse Brandy with SWV?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
blasphemy.
That was an affront at the very least.
Shame.
Oh,
Shame.
God, let me take my clothes off.
Shame.
Shame you through the streets of our neighborhood.
You wish.
God, you do. I do.
You little slut.
I feel good right now.
I can tell. It's because you've been wearing a lot of tank tops recently.
I did get some sleeveless workout gear, and that really has changed my outlook on life.
It's interfering with our marriage.
I know I have shitty tattoos.
Your
honestly,
tattoos aren't even part of the conversation, bud. You're the one that brings up the tattoos.
I'm embarrassed of them. I don't, I think that's one.
Do you want me to take a Sharpie and draw over top of them?
No, one day
I can do some little stick figures. I can even make the stick figures in sexual poses.
Okay, that's actually pretty cool.
Okay.
One day I'll have cover up money.
One day, someday.
I'd have to probably look right now. My financial situation, I'd have to save for 18 months to get really quality ink.
Well,
right?
Some people have to do that, Dylan.
Yeah. Because you're talking $1,200-$1,300 for what I want.
I'm sorry, but my advice is you should have just gone out there and been born rich.
All right. So here we are. She's Heather.
I'm Heather.
And I'm a silly Dylan.
Oh, you are so silly, Dylan.
God.
I'm not even going to ask, how's it going?
Yeah, you know.
By the way, this is Mountain Murders Midweek. Welcome. Kind of hitting it the right time. It's not the end of the week. It's the midweek.
This shit is what's the kids used to
say? This shit is bananas. BANANAS.
Bananas. BANANAS.
You can't even spell.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you doing? Why are you humping the air? Stop.
I was just now gyrating.
Please stop. Please stop. This is not an aerobic workout, Dylan. Please quit.
Okay, so here we are. Where you want to go?
Well, there we are too. We're here and we're there. We're everywhere. We're every fucking where you want to be. We're like MasterCard or whatever.
We're everything all at once.
Oh gosh.
But not a shitty movie. I didn't get it, folks.
People love that movie and I just don't.
I
got it, but I'm also just okay.
It's kind of much ado about nothing, but there was a huge thing. Jackie Chan was supposed to have that role, but he turned it down and they gave it to old girl. And then she was like a sensation, quote unquote.
Okay.
A darling. And it made ill feelings between him and her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that information. Dylan, are you ready to discuss some crime news? We've got headlines. We need to talk about some of this stuff.
No, I refuse to speak on true crime.
Start, because this story kind of blows my mind just when we get into the players involved. A former Green Beret in North Carolina who had been missing since January was allegedly killed and dismembered by his wife after he told her he was planning to file for divorce. So the fact that this victim was a Green Beret,
she snuck up on him,
and that she was able to overpower him, it kind of blows my mind a little bit.
It doesn't, Mom, because if you share a space, a life with someone, there's very many times that you're vulnerable. If they want to fuck you up, they could.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you're lying there.
Yeah. And I woke up to you standing over me.
With a pillow.
Right. And you're just like, oh, I want your neck to be comfortable.
I really wanted you to stop snoring.
But that pillow was really far forward. It looked like it was coming in my face.
No.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, no, lift up.
No.
Yeah.
Would never. The Fayetteville Observer, which is actually part of the USA Today network, reported that 50-year-old Shanna Cloud was arrested last week on murder and weapons charges in the slaying of her husband, Clinton Bonnell. A judge has denied her request for bail. Bonnell is a 50-year-old former medic in the U.S. Army Special Forces. He was reported missing in January, the same day that he met with a divorce lawyer, according to these court documents. Then, Dylan, his dismembered remains were discovered in a pond 3 miles from the couple's home about a month after he was reported missing by his girlfriend, who was alarmed that he hadn't shown up for classes at Methodist University. James McRae Jr. is Cloud's attorney, and he hasn't responded to any media requests yet for comment. But at Cloud's first court appearance, Cumberland County District Attorney Billy West said there were 2 gunshot wounds in the back of the torso that was discovered, and they used DNA testing to match the victim to, being Mr. Bonnell. These court documents say that on January 27th, Bonnell met Cloud at a health club in Fayetteville, North Carolina, where Cloud told investigators she confronted him about a note she believed to be from a romantic partner. I mean, guy did have a girlfriend. And then he was reported missing the following day. His last contact with anyone was a text on the evening of January 27th when he told his girlfriend that he was, quote, home, told his wife about the divorce, and was going to bed. Location data on his phone stopped around 8:15 a.m. the following morning. And then on January 28th, a faculty member at Methodist University, where he was studying to be a physician's assistant, called the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office to ask for a welfare check when he didn't show up for classes. His girlfriend called later for another welfare check on Bonnell, and then he was listed as a missing person.
Okay. Wow.
His ex-wife told police that she hadn't recalled seeing him return to the home they shared, even though his vehicle was parked there.
So I think there's a very interesting dynamic from a true crime perspective of this to point out, or a chance rather, to point out that this is a domestic situation.
Yes.
And when it's all evidence shows that, hey, he's got someone else, right? He's moving on. He's serious. I'm actually going to file. I'm leaving, quote unquote. That this is the most dangerous time in a relationship like this, no matter if it's a male or female, the male or the female, right?
No, you're absolutely right, Dylan.
And you know what? That reminds me, I want to retract something that I stated not that long ago, a mere weeks ago. Are you ready?
You remember something you said weeks ago?
Well, it's actually bothered me.
Sometimes you can't even remember things you said like a day ago.
It's bothered me.
An hour ago.
And I've thought about it multiple times.
Look, I want you to be unbothered and unburdened by what has been. So please tell us.
It's about Gabby Petito.
Okay, what about her?
I think, though, I do agree, or I stand on, they were in a toxic relationship. They were both participants, if you will.
Okay.
But she literally was leaving too. And this is what I really realized after I made my statement of, oh, there was 2 toxic people. Maybe he really loved her. That's why he killed himself. No, he was a coward. And she was in telling people, texting people, I'm going to, leave. And boom, she was in a dangerous situation at that point because of being with this volatile person. And he was a piece of shit and a coward. He didn't really love her.
So you've changed your stance a bit.
A bit. Maybe I didn't elaborate enough on my position originally. And I think it was offensive, kind of the frame I put on it, when you really look at the whole thing.
Okay.
So I want to say I'm sorry to our listeners.
Well, I didn't know that she was in the process of leaving.
Well, she had texted people.
Okay.
Like, hey, I can make way more as a solo, cute female vlogger, right? Than, with this reluctant person who doesn't really want to be part of your content. It's not just that he was a dick. So, yeah.
Okay. I didn't know all that.
I'm sorry for the tirade.
I'm not super invested in that case.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Shanna Cloud told police that she hadn't seen him even though his vehicle was parked there. I mean, come on, that doesn't really register for me, but whatevs. In the following days, police obtained warrants and searched the home, and they found his bag and laptop, which had, quote, both damage consistent with being struck by a projectile. They also found some metal fragments inside a bag. A .22 caliber handgun was found in the house. Authorities said there was digital and video evidence that also linked Shana Cloud to the area where his remains were found.
My gosh. This is a lot.
Yes, so Bonnell served in the Special Forces, achieving the rank of Sergeant First Class and serving from September 2004 to December 2024. He had a career in the military. He served 2 tours in Iraq. He retired in December, having been awarded several medals and commendations during his service. People remember him as just this amazing human being with a brilliant mind. He was into yoga, hiking, being outdoors, and really had a passion for health and wellness. Others remember him as being a very talented guitar player and singer. Seems like he will be missed by many.
So this guy was bringing a lot to the table.
Yeah.
A great person, it sounds like. Talented. You got some hobbies and stuff, which I think is very healthy. I wish I'd had a hobby, all my life or something.
You could have one now.
Well, yeah.
What is your hobby now? Wearing a tank top?
Well, you know what? I grew up kind of...
Tank tops are your hobby?
On the poor side. The only people I grew up on the poor side. So people I knew that had a hobby, I was like, oh, fuck, you got like extra money for little cars and shit.
You could have had a hobby that was like hiking is a free hobby. Botany is a free hobby.
Okay.
Reading is a free hobby. The library is free, Dylan.
Why use that?
You could have a pen and paper and write poetry and sonnets.
I read, I never wrote. Okay. Right?
Yeah, well, I can't read your handwriting, so it's probably a good thing.
Well, dude, my handwriting is beautiful.
Is it?
We're going to put a sample up for our listeners.
No, we're not. They don't care.
Yep.
Moving along. Dylan, not everything's about you and your handwriting and your tank top, okay? Now be quiet.
Oh, my gosh.
A man dressed in what looks like a security uniform was caught masturbating near a metro rail stop in a Florida city in downtown Miami.
That sounds like a sticky situation.
So this video is circulating online right now. I guess you could say it's a viral video. Shows this man just going to town on himself. He's wearing a dark blue shirt under a reflective safety vest, doing this deed in full view of anybody who's walking by. This prompted many online to identify him as a Metro Rail Guard, which is a security officer who keeps people at these rail stops safe. As you can imagine, Dylan, the reaction has been varied. I mean, there are a lot of people who are really freaked out by this clip.
Well, yeah, that's because it's a deviant behavior, right?
Yes.
Doing that to yourself willingly in public is a fucking weird thing.
It is.
And most people feel that way, and it blows you away.
Well, I don't know. It seems like he might have a few people who are like, yeah, I get it. I don't know.
Well, that's other deviants.
Probably. Yeah, finish.
Yeah, our deviant king.
Well, Miami-Dade County Department of Transportation and Public Works says they can 100% confirm that this individual is not a Miami-Dade Transit security guard nor a department employee in any other capacity. The security guards are actually part of the Allied Universal team, and they wear brown uniforms and do not wear vests.
Okay, so it's a random guy in a vest.
Law enforcement are looking into the incident, but no official report has been filed yet. They haven't made any arrests, and it's kind of unclear now or, to know when this incident occurred. Like, they don't know if it's a recent thing or if this happened like 5 years ago and it's just now being released for public consumption.
Well, yeah, and I heard that they were going to charge him with assault against his dick.
Yeah, he was beating it up.
Oh my God. What would you do? Because I would be that person in the background screaming, what the fuck?
Well, I'm an asshole and have kind of been in a situation like this before. And I think people like this want you to be shocked, especially if you're female. I think they want you to be shocked or offended or like, oh God,
clutch your pearls.
Oh God. So my go-to is to point and laugh. I'd be like, you're showing me that? Like,
Because let's be honest, it's probably going to be pretty lame.
Yeah.
His jump.
So I just laugh at him and be like, hey, look, this guy over here's masturbating. And like point at him.
Yeah, he's trying to.
So everybody can look at him. Hey, guys, he wants attention. Yeah. But that's just me.
And I think that would work. you're changing the dynamics of the
It's
situation.
a little bit of a power shift. All right, Dylan, I know this is going to really disturb you because this guy is one of your personal heroes.
Okay, I can take it.
Criminal charges have reportedly been filed against your favorite actor, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
That's slander.
In Romania.
That's litigious.
Whatever. You loved Universal
slanderous.
Soldier.
No,
Bloodsport.
I'm saying you can't say anything bad about him. I'm trying to stick up for Jean-Claude. This can't be true.
Jean-Claude?
Jean-Claude.
What the fuck, dude?
Hey, I come from the fucking hills. Jean-Claude did a split.
Jean-Claude. That Jean-Claude Van Damme. I had a Van Damme good time down at the bar last night. So a criminal complaint was filed with the Romanian Directorate for Investigating Organized Crime and Terrorism, DIICOT, against the Street Fighter, and by the way, he's 64 years old, allegedly that he knowingly engaged in sex with women trafficked by a criminal group led by Morel Bolea. So this incident allegedly took place in Cannes, where the actor is accused of having received 5 Romanian women as a, quote, gift, with prior knowledge that they came from a group of traffickers. And this is according to the criminal complaint. These women, the attorney for these women said that they were, quote, in a state of vulnerability with the suspicion that they were being exploited within the meaning of Article 182 of the Criminal Code. Now, his team has not commented on it, but one of the women who witnessed the incident, which reportedly occurred at an organized event that was actually organized by Jean-Claude in Cannes, shared what she saw with prosecutors. So, he's with these 5 different women, quote unquote photo models in Romania, and he had them there for sexual relations, and he knew that they were human trafficked. I mean, according to the witness.
Because if it's true, somebody gave him 5 people, gifted him 5 women.
Yeah. Somebody was like, here's 5 of them.
I would let the women go.
You would be like, you would open the window and be like, release them, be free.
You know what I would do? I would be kind to all of them. I would show them what.
You would take them to a field and be like, go be free.
Yeah. And hide behind the truck in case they attacked.
Okay.
No, but seriously, I would let the women go. I wouldn't knowingly keep someone. If one of them liked me and we had sparks, as I was letting them go and being like, here's money.
You'd have her sign like a consent contract.
Definitely.
Contract for consent.
And an NDA.
Okay. Sounds good. Now, Dylan, this story is going to pique your interest a little bit. I find it interesting because we all know AI has pros, but also has many cons, right?
I think the pros is AI crunching data and making, big data deals in our life, no matter what it is, easier and more streamlined. Great. But the rest of it, it could be weird.
Well, creating and sharing deceptive media made with artificial intelligence is now a crime in New Jersey and open to lawsuits under a new state law.
Okay.
The Democratic governor, Phil Murphy, signed legislation Wednesday making the creation and dissemination of so-called deceptive deepfake media a crime, punishable by up to 5 years in prison, and establishing a basis for lawsuits against perpetrators. So New Jersey joins a growing list of states that are enacting these measures, taking aim at media created using AI. At least 20 states have passed similar legislation that targets such media, especially if it's involving elections. As of last year, governors in more than a dozen states had signed laws cracking down on digitally created or altered child sex abuse imagery. But one of the, drivers of this, or the law is stemming in part from a story of a Westfield High School student named Francesca Manny, who stood alongside the governor as he signed the bill. Manny said she became the victim of a deepfake video 2 years ago and was told that the only punishment for the person who created it was a short suspension from school because there were no laws against this kind of media.
What do you think about this? I think it's forward thinking.
I think it's the right move.
Well, I think it's a right move it's a move in the right direction. Even if this isn't perfect, it shows that you're thinking about things are changing. Technology, number one, and just society in general, that you're going to have to modify or get innovative with your lawmaking and your legislation to stay ahead of things that could be serious problems in your society.
Well, exactly. Some of these videos and deep fakes and artificial intelligence, like the photos and the manipulation, the use of someone's personal voice.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's scary because anyone anywhere could make a video of you, Dylan, saying the most out-of-pocket shit,
right,
and then posting it online, and you would get us all canceled.
Well, no, and you'd have in some of these instances, you'd have a hard time proving that it's fake.
Exactly.
Because public sentiment, we are 10-second
so
people.
Fickle.
We're flipping through things. How many times have I told you something? Oh, I saw such and such, and you're like, where'd you see it? And just instantly figure out it's junk. People don't even fact check anything anymore.
Well, you don't fact check anything is the point.
Well, you're my fact checker.
Well, I know you tell me shit all the time that you see online, and I'm like, what is wrong with you, boomer? That can't be true. And I look it up, and it's not true. And that's a hill you're trying to die on.
No.
I go, I saw it. It's true. And
no,
I'm like, no,
I don't defend it. I don't defend it.
You have a time or two. Don't sit over there on your little tank top throne and act like you.
I have a sleeved shirt on. Thank you. No, but if you intentionally, this is like the Philip K. Dick part of it. If you intentionally take someone's likeness and create something like this for any reason, it's not creating something that realistic of someone else is not okay, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Well, the measure defines deepfake as any video or audio recording or image that appears to a reasonable person to realistically depict someone doing something that they didn't actually do. So in addition to prison time upon conviction, the law establishes civil penalties that would permit victims to pursue lawsuits.
And see, this is a type of innovative legislation that they were so slow to apply to stalking, right? And online harassment. They were so slow to the table on these things, right? Because as soon as people are doing it with intention of harming someone, you need to address it. When you keep telling victims, oh, well, that's messed up, but we don't have no law for that. You know what I'm saying? What does that leave a person to do?
I don't know, Dylan.
Protect themselves because the cops is playing games.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
They turn to vigilante justice. They get a cape and become a superhero.
And another element they were very slow on and still are is revenge porn. Someone taking an intimate video between you and your loved one, your couple, your whatever, your trusted person, and putting it online should be a big fucking deal. Because that's not okay.
Well, it should be a big deal.
That's a real big violation. And then it's on the web, and it's like you can't control it.
Well, can I also say that, I'm really disappointed that I've not achieved the type or the level of fame at this point in my podcast career that someone's released a sex tape of me.
Are you saying they're out there?
Well, no. Maybe that's part of the problem. Do you think if we released a sex tape, like people would be interested? Do you think it'd be a big deal? It'd be like the Kim and Ray J.
I was going to say, is it going to be our Kim moment and it launches a brand?
You think so? Yeah, and then like your butt becomes iconic.
Yeah.
Maybe your tank top, and then you could like be a tank, like instead of Skims, like she makes underwear. Now you could make tank tops for men.
I know all about Skims and the creation of it against Spanx because Business Wars is doing a series right now and like Ask Me Anything.
You just let's be honest, you just really love a buttery soft bra, Dylan.
You know what they were going to call it first
what?
Before Skims? Kimono. Because she liked it because it had Kim in it. But you know what the Japanese people said? You can't do that. That's like a word that means something to us.
It's like a cultural appropriation thing.
Yeah, so she very quickly got ahead of it and rebranded. Even though they ate a bunch of product that had Skims or kimono printed on them because they're not tags. They just had to throw all millions of dollars of product away.
Skims. What is that? Is that like a...
It's got Kim in it,
Skivvies and Kim?
Yes.
Combined?
Slutty Kim.
Skims. You've got Skivvies and Kim. Kim skivvies.
It's shapewear with a future.
Kim skid marks. All right, which I imagine are ample. Okay, moving along, Dylan. A judge determined that a woman who claimed to be God and shot her friend's husband in the face was not guilty by reason of insanity.
Oh, my God.
Court records show that Judge Andrew Rosner returned Alicia Halp's verdict for charges of murder, pointing a firearm at another, and attempted murder on January 30th following a bench trial, meaning that the case was presented in front of the judge rather than a jury. Now, Halp's verdict came almost exactly 1 year after she shot and killed 35-year-old Jacob Harville on February 5th of 2024. A deputy made contact with Halp on February 5th of 2024 when she was walking near a GMC Sierra. She reportedly told the deputy that the car did not belong to her, but rather it was, quote, the man who I shot in the face's truck. Then she told the deputy she was God and that she killed Satan before he killed us all.
Damn.
Halp lived with Harville and his wife, who she called her best friend. After shooting Harville, Halp reportedly pointed the gun at his mother, but the firearm malfunctioned. Harville's wife reportedly once took Halp to the hospital because she claimed she had someone else living inside her body. Halp was diagnosed with schizophrenia and psychosis in 2022. Yeah.
Totally detached from reality.
Yeah, I mean, it's really tragic on all fronts.
It really is. There's a documentary about patients that have, been sentenced to life basically, and have these episodes that land them there after they get medicated and stuff, and they really were out of their mind, insane, don't remember, detached from reality. The remorse in every single one of these people that they had on that show was so intense because it really was outside their normal self to do these horror, because the crimes are always like over the top horrific because it's like an acid trip, right?
It's funny you mentioned that, Dylan. I was going to say the only time I've ever felt like something might be inside my body was when I was like really high as hell. And I had this thought that maybe I was a reptilian.
And it's waiting to come out.
And I had this like reptilian alien inside my body, and then I could like feel it pulsing around, and any minute it was going to like break out of my skin.
Damn.
But then I had to remind myself that like I'd eaten like 6 gummies.
You're just really high.
I'd had like 60 milligrams of THC in a very short period of time.
High quality.
So I'm just saying, that's the only time I've ever felt like maybe there was something inside me. Except for sometimes in our marital bedroom, I feel like there might be something inside me.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
I think. Then I have to ask, is it in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the worst thing a woman could say to a man if he can't do it. It's like, go deeper. Put it all in. And every bit of it's already in.
Does that happen to you?
No.
Why you look guilty over there?
Not happened to me.
You look shame.
No,
shame.
I'm just saying. That's a joke.
Okay. So, Dylan, moving along here. This never works out. I'm just going to put it out there. Antifreeze is not the answer. So a woman was recently convicted of fatally poisoning her husband, and she's going to spend the rest of her life behind bars. According to a news release from March 27th, the jury found Tori Frederick guilty in connection with the death of her husband, Phil, and a judge sentenced her to life in prison. She was convicted of malice murder, felony murder, and aggravated assault. Back in September of 2021, the victim was reportedly taken to the Archbald Memorial Hospital in Georgia, and medical staff immediately suspected poisoning, and he died 1 week later. And it turns out the defendant poisoned her husband with ethylene glycol, commonly found in antifreeze and brake fluid. And it didn't take very long. The hospital staff did a quick assessment, requested proper testing, and immediately uncovered that it was in fact antifreeze that had poisoned this man.
Well, see, this has become common in recent years, and they look for that very quickly. Used to, they didn't so quickly. They didn't, weren't as familiar with this type of poisoning, but it's just a terrible way to poison someone. It's the death the people who ingest this lethal amount have is kind of in my mind like cyanide or something, where in the old movies they'd bite the spy would bite the pill and like foam would come out of his mouth. He's like, he's convulsing all over. It's like a painful, horrible, arsenic, terrible fucking death. And it's a really evil thing.
Your organs start to shut down.
They all shut down in like an order that lets you live for a while. It's fucking excruciating.
No, it's really terrible. All right, moving along, Dylan, and I believe this will be our last case of the day that we'll be discussing. I saw a viral video recently featuring a Georgia father who said he was arrested after allegedly leaving his young children unattended at a McDonald's while he went to a job interview. And there was a swell of support online for this man, but now police say that he lied. He wasn't at an interview at all.
Okay, where was he at?
24-year-old Chris Lewis was arrested in Augusta, Georgia on March 22nd after his kids aged 10, 6, and 1 were at a McDonald's for over an hour. Lewis was charged with deprivation of a minor, which is a misdemeanor. As reports of his arrest circulated, support for Lewis grew, with many arguing that he had been trying to support his kids by going to a job interview. Even former NFL star Antonio Brown started a GoFundMe on this man's behalf, which had raised, at the date of this publication, which my source right now is people.com, had raised over $78,000 for this guy.
Wow.
Brown wrote, quote, "Story caught me by surprise. A dad just trying to find a way to make money for his family. I know he shouldn't just leave his kids, but some people don't have the means for a babysitter. And this GoFundMe is set in place to help this man." But in a police report, authorities now say Lewis was not at a job interview while his kids were sitting at this McDonald's. Rather, he had applied for a job earlier that day. Police spoke with his children, and his 10-year-old child stated that she, her father, and her 2 siblings had walked to McDonald's from an apartment. She further stated that her father left to deliver a backpack to the apartment complex and told her he would return shortly. And the child also told police that her father frequently left them alone.
Wow.
Police also went to a nearby motel where he had applied for a job. The hotel manager confirmed that Mr. Lewis came in and had completed a job application. He had, been part of an informal type of interview with him. He was expecting, or I guess she told him, like, if I'm interested, I'll call you back for an interview, but went on to say that she was not going to call him back for an interview. So security footage showed that he left this motel hours before his children were ultimately found at the McDonald's. So if he had gone to this like little brief interview or whatever, it was hours and hours and hours before.
Yes.
Yeah.
On face value, you're like, hey, this guy maybe he's desperate, got to land this job, whatever. Maybe it was not a good choice, but he's trying, like he has the kids, where's mom? Blah, blah, blah. But it sounds like it might be more to the story and that he may be a bit of a neglectful parent. We still need to, where's mom?
Well,
what can
I'm
we do for the
also
kids?
just like, so he's 24 and his oldest child is 10. That means he was 14 when that child was born.
I guess so.
Babies having babies.
14 going
not
on
always
15.
Like the best thing. And I think, Antonio Brown, obviously his heart's in the right place, because when I first heard this story, I'm like, that's some bullshit. Like, I've heard these types of stories before where mom left her kid in the car for 20 or 30 minutes while she went into a job interview, and then someone called and reported that a child was sitting in a car alone.
And everybody freaks out.
And mom gets in trouble, and
Right.
it's like this woman's just trying to do. And so I've heard those stories before, and they absolutely pull on my heartstrings. I've been a single parent in the past, and it's not always easy to find someone who can watch your child.
Yeah, and what she's describing is the 80s.
Well, I was going to say,
If your parent,
because other people were freaking out that this 10-year-old was left to care for her younger siblings. But the fact is, many of us were babysitting at 10 or being left alone at 10, being left alone even younger than 10 after school. Like, you might ride the bus home and go inside and lock the door and make yourself a snack and hang out for a couple hours till your parents get home. That was not unheard of back then.
No, that's a latchkey generation.
I'm pretty sure I remember being home alone from the time I was 8 or 9 in the afternoon for maybe an hour. But that was very common.
And they're not saying reports of his kids were out of control or anything. They just noticed they were there, I'm assuming, because I'm sure that would have been added to the report in some way, if the kids were tripping or, acting a fool. But it sounds like someone just noticed them, and they were just sitting there waiting on their dad to come back, which is sad to do that for any reason. But certainly if you're doing that for something that's not noble like that, like I'm just trying or, some desperate move, then what are you doing?
Well, again, like I said, I understand Antonio Brown kind of jumping in like, oh, this is a terrible story. But I think it goes to show why you can't always just immediately go set up like these GoFundMes for people, because a lot of times the real story comes out and you find out these people are just pieces of shit, or they're scammers, or they have some other thing going on.
And I must say
just like a while back, I don't know if you remember, and I can't think of the guy's name, but there was a guy on like a big TikTok creator who discovered a guy in Florida living on a boat.
I know, yeah.
And kind of got people really like into this guy. The hurricane was coming. The man was going to stay on his boat during the hurricane. And it was like, people just love this guy. They started sending money.
Buy him $100,000 boat.
Yeah, doing all this shit for him. And then come to find out, like, this guy had this lengthy criminal history and turned out to not be a very good person. And I think might have even been like a sex offender or something.
It was something that was certainly in the gray area. So, yeah.
Like his daughter, they found his daughter later, and she was just like, yeah, you guys don't know him. Like, he doesn't deserve any of this. Right. And he deserves exactly where he is, like being a loser on a boat.
With nobody to help. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he's earned that spot.
Yeah, see that, and that's what happens. It moves way too fast. And hopefully something's being done to help these kids be stable.
So what do you think is in the backpack that he was delivering? You think it was just some Girl Scout cookies?
Well, look, I didn't even mention that part of it. Like the little girl, and this is from the mouths of babes, right? They just say what they see.
Kids
They're
don't
honest.
lie.
Kids are honest about situations, and their lens is probably clearer than adults, I think, in a lot of ways, because they don't have all that adult bullshit affecting their perspective of situations. And that sounds funny, right?
Delivering a backpack.
If he leaves you somewhere and walks somewhere and takes the backpack he's been carrying this whole time and leaves it and comes back without it, I mean, what are you supposed to think?
Maybe someone left their school books around.
Maybe he's returning some library books.
Maybe he was returning some school books.
Yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
All right, Dylan. Well, thank you for sitting down with me today to discuss some crime news.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me be silly, Dylan. So
when are you? What let you be? When are you not silly, Dylan?
That's right. Yeah. What's up?
You're silly, Dylan, all the time.
No, I'm feeling. It's a good day. Hope this podcast finds everybody happy, healthy.
Oh yeah.
Safe and fed, and everything else.
Oh gosh.
I was gonna
say there's actually, before we fully wrap up, that there are a few new like true crime podcasts out, or not podcasts, but true crime shows out right now.
What you got?
One that I'm kind of interested in watching is The Kings of Tupelo, which I believe you watched. It's a Southern crime saga.
That's
about these poison letters that were sent to Obama.
An Elvis impersonator.
Yes,
Brothers.
Yeah, it's a 3-part Netflix docuseries. And that sounds pretty interesting.
Dude, look, I got to say, if you watch that is a rainy Sunday. It's a few episodes. It is great. It sucks you in and you're like, what in the hell? Because it's so much.
There's a new Chris Brown. It's called Chris Brown, A History of Violence documentary that delves into numerous allegations against Brown, examining his troubling pattern of abuse and somehow his, I guess, managing to succeed.
Okay.
Yeah. There's also a show called Fanatical, The Catfishing of Tegan and Sarah. So this indie rock duo, Tegan and Sarah, I don't know if you're familiar with their music. I've heard some of it. They built this global community of inclusivity and passion around their music. But then one bad apple turned that safe space into a nightmare. In 2011, Tegan Quinn's personal files were stolen and used in an elaborate catfishing scheme that left fans stalked and terrorized for more than a decade.
Oh my God.
So that is something else that people might be interested in. But there's a lot of new documentaries out, so
Look, I saw
a
one.
lot of true crime watching this time around.
I saw one called Con Mum on Netflix, and it is a crazy story.
Con Mom?
M-U-M, Mum,
Okay.
because the dude's in like London or some shit.
There's also a Netflix show called Dancing with the Devil, the 7 Million TikTok Cult. Have you heard of this?
No.
It's the story of a young dancer, Miranda Wilking, who signed up for a management company called 7M. It turns out to be this religious cult led by Robert Shin, who's facing allegations of sexual abuse and coercing members into cutting off their families.
Dude, I have heard of this one now. I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were talking about. But yes, complete alienation from friends and family. Like, families literally chasing these people around, like, just to get a glimpse of them walking in somewhere. They haven't seen them in so long. It's very weird.
Okay, so lots to catch up on here in the next couple weeks. A lot of true crime watching,
Yeah.
viewing,
Sitting on our
streaming.
couch potatoes.
Yeah.
I like being one sometime.
All the time.
That's not true.
God, you're the biggest couch
Oh
potato.
my gosh.
That's your hobby, is just sitting.
Well, sitting and looking.
Well, that's a free hobby. See, you don't have to don't be money to do that, Dylan.
That's my hobbies.
It's not like snowboarding or something. All right, we'll talk to you later. Be cool.
Peace out.
I meant for you to be cool. Our
Oh.
listeners are already cool. You're the only one that's problematic here.
Nice.
Bye.